get ready for a tour of our very messy pantry. I'm going to tell you about some of these foods that we keep in here. Alright, I love to keep walnuts on hand. It's interesting, I used to not be able to eat walnuts. They would make my, give me cankers and make my hands kind of itchy, but I noticed I've been able to tolerate them more, so I'm not sure why that is, but it's pretty awesome because walnuts are a great fat source, but high in nutrients, good for your brain. They look like your brain, so they're good for your brain. Like kidney beans, they look like your kidney, they're good for your kidneys. Funny how that works. Beautiful thing about nature. And we get a lot of sunflower seeds. You'll notice I have 2 big glass jars of those. They actually work really great as emulsifiers, so if you want to blend them up in a blended soup, like a bean soup or something, that makes it really creamy, low fat, high nutrients. They're really great. Sunflower seeds, they're a cheaper way than, like, say, cashews to make it creamy, so they're really great. And then I have soybeans back there. Sometimes I use those to make soy milk, but you can also use it to do a variety. Just cook soybeans, especially if you're perimenopause, then you can, it helps balance your hormones a little bit better, and so that they've done studies where your hot flashes aren't so bad, so I think that's pretty cool about soybeans if you add it to your meals daily. And then dry roasted hazelnuts, we like to try to do a homemade Nutella sometimes with just some cocoa powder, and you can use honey for a sweetener or maple syrup. That's pretty awesome. And then cocoa powder, sesame seeds are great. A variety of seeds are so healthy to just put on top of things, sprinkle on things, and then you're helping to get your 30 different for the day. Okay, I'm gonna move to my not so healthy section over here. This is just cold cereal. I went away from getting a bunch of cold cereal, but sometimes it's nice when we're running short on time in the morning, or if I've slept in, or the kids just need to hurry and grab breakfast, then they tend to go to cold cereal. They get tired of oatmeal. So I don't know why we have 2 boxes of Rice Chex open. Sometimes we make Muddy Buddies with Rice Chex, and they're very yummy. We try to put less. I'll make it with like honey and melted chocolate chips and peanut butter, put it on the Chex. So that's it. We always try to have granola on hand. It's empty. I feel like it's always empty. I'm always making granola. And we like to put that on parfaits or just put berries with it with some soy milk, and that's a great breakfast food. And then I'm going to move down here. So these are my bulk bins. I do use a white all-purpose flour. I try to do an organic flour. I get that from Costco because I make a lot of bread, and I usually try to do at least half whole wheat, half white. So with that, I do have a wheat grinder right there. And that's where I grind my wheat. I have some hard white wheat is my favorite to use. So, and then this bucket is some rolled oats. So I do, like you've probably seen, I do some oat jars for my husband. So we go through a lot of rolled oats, and then they're a quick breakfast food. They're awesome fiber. They're the highest source of protein in a cereal grain. And then use different vinegars for fridge pickles. I have apple cider and regular vinegar. You can also use it for cleaning. It's great like that. And a giant sugar bucket, because yes, I do like to bake. So we don't eat perfectly, and we have treats. I like to do cookies maybe once a week, once every couple weeks. They're kind of fun. I get big bags of beans, so that's what these back buckets are for. They're just some more different kinds of beans. And then right here, these are kind of our cereal grains, and quinoa. You could have quinoa for breakfast. That'd be an awesome protein-rich grain for breakfast. This is like a big couscous, so just a fun variety of grains. So I should show you kind of what we do with some of them, but they're fun. Steel cut oats are awesome in an Instant Pot to have for breakfast. It'll just be ready if you set it in your pot at night. And then cornmeal. Cornbread is great with chili. Millet is an amazing kind of a seed actually, but it really has a lot of health benefits that have been studied recently. That's kind of interesting. So I've been trying to use a little more millet. I don't use it. It's kind of a corny flavor. I don't use it as much as I should. I'd like to use more. Kamut, that's just a type of wheat for a hot cereal. A giant jar of chocolate chips, because I try to get the non-dairy chocolate chips, and they're expensive. I found them in the bulk bin at Winco. Amaranth, that's like a teeny tiny grain. I don't use that very much, but I want to learn, so we're working on that. And then this shelf is about eye level for the kids. So it's kind of snacks. It's pretty sparse right now. We've been doing more homemade snacks like muffins and stuff, but there's like a trail mix with some granola and some dry roasted nuts. And then I always have some crackers. And then in this empty container, these are like roasted soybeans. So a high protein snack, that's awesome. Another trail mix. There's little tidbits, that's kind of embarrassing, but. And then we always have graham crackers. I just keep them in this container so they don't go stale, but the kids like to do graham crackers with peanut butter and some soy milk sometimes, so that's fun. And then this is just a fun snack sometimes. They're just the pea crisps. I wouldn't say they're a health food, but at least they have some protein and fiber, more so than like than potato chips. So yeah. And then crackers. And I just keep some dried fruits in a basket over here. Raisins, elder. So, and some dried blueberries are in this jar. I got those from Azure. I'm going to take you up here. These are more of the bulk nuts that I use to make creamy things. So I have almonds, and then pistachios I've been using in rice pudding that the kids really like with the leftover rice. And cashews. So we use those for creaminess. And then just the corn flour, those make really good corn tortillas. I have a tortilla press that's fun to use, makes quick corn tortillas that are fresh. And then these are the things, some of them I use for the oats in a jar because they're freeze dried. They keep all their nutrients and they store really well dried. So these are just some of the fruits that I use in those. And then this is just like I did Thrive a long time ago and I've just kind of been using these jars of things, food storage. So anyway, that is really old and I haven't used it in a while. I should throw that out. This here is our Asian bin. So we like to do sushi bowls, and we'll put like sushi nori. I keep a bunch of that in there. And then I use kombu. This is really good to cook beans in to help with some of the gas. It helps to break down the beans a little bit better. So I just store like Asian noodles and seasonings and stuff in there, rice noodles. I don't know what I have in there, a variety of Asian stuff. So that's kind of fun. And then just panko breadcrumbs. We always have all kinds of different tofu because we love that for a great protein source. The shelf-stable silken tofu, I love. It's a little more expensive than if you're by the fridge, but it's great because you can put it on your shelf and it works really well to make creamy dressings that are low in fat, high in protein. So it works great for that, or in soups, or you could mix that with firm tofu for a tofu scramble to make it more soft. And then of course we have a bunch of beans. I keep more of the beans outside, but I always have canned beans. I feel like they're essential to quick lunches, quick meals that are nutrient dense and have fiber, protein. So canned beans are your favorite. I try to go for low sodium. If you can rinse the beans too, and that gets off a bunch of sodium. Refried beans, you saw that in the quick burritos that we make. So those are used for lots of things anyway. So just a bunch of different canned stuff. The mandarin oranges are in the light syrup. I don't use those much anymore. They're kind of old, but so I love it when they have the 3 beans, the variety of beans from Costco, because that makes a great chili. And then you have those 3 different beans all in one, super quick. This is just a different kind of soy sauce. And here, I love cooking just a variety of foods from around the world. So these are just sun-dried tomatoes. They add a lot of flavor. Shiitake mushrooms, they're awesome with ramen. I have some kosher salt, but usually I use iodized salt. And then up here I just have some more dried mushrooms, giant hazelnuts, because my mother-in-law grows them, so they're fun to have the kids shell it when they're bored. And then cumin seeds, I grind those up usually in our spice grinder. Actually, I just use a coffee grinder that's never been used for coffee. I use it for spices, and that's great for our Indian foods. Usually I use and then they're fresh. And peppercorns. So these are my kind of spices. I just have them separated into savory, and then more Indian spices and sweet, and of course some coriander. And then this is awesome for kimchi. So yeah, we have a variety of random stuff. Sometimes I get ingredients to try something, and it stays here or it gets used. So our random pasta bin. And then we keep kind of, these are the sweet treats from holidays or something. They're up high, so they're hard to get to, so we don't eat them as much. So that's the main layout of our pantry. Other than, let's see, I'll probably show you, I have like a garlic basket, and then potatoes. These red ones, they came kind of growing. We usually eat the gold potatoes because they're so creamy and yummy. So those are the ones we go for, and they just have a lot of flavor. You don't really have to do anything to them, but you can always put a little hummus on them or just bake them in the microwave. You can roast them. So we like the gold potatoes the best, but any kind of potatoes are awesome. We have sweet potatoes up there in a little basket. I got some really beautiful ones. They're really dark colored. Sweet potatoes are great roasted or baked or microwaved, and you can have them for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And I have onions. I usually try to have purple onions too, and I'll do pickled onions to put on things to give it flavor. So we really I like a lot of flavor on my food. So we have a lot of seasonings, and it's a great source of antioxidants. The more variety you can have, the healthier your gut will be, so the healthier your body will be. So we aim for variety. Here I have more black beans, and then just noodles, different kind of rice. Yeah, these are all pretty well labeled. Red lentils are amazing. They kind of dissolve in soups and make it nice and soft. You can add veggies. They cook super fast, 10 to 15 minutes. And red lentils also cook really well in like a pasta sauce. So put it in a red pasta sauce, and it bulks up the sauce to make it have more protein, and then they kind of dissolve so kids don't notice it as much. And let's see, brown rice ramen. That's one of our favorites for some ramen. And then I tried getting sweet brown rice to make like I don't remember, sticky rice. I just use that very much. And marshmallows are not a health food whatsoever, but campfires, they're fun. I guess I could try to get healthier more, but they're really expensive. So yeah, we don't do it perfect, and we have fun, and those are sometimes foods, so they're hidden in the corner a little bit. So down here is the 4-bean salad. I thought, this will be nice, fast thing to have for lunch or something, but it turns out my kids don't really like it. So I should just give it to somebody else. I thought it would be great. And then this is just another kind of rice. So variety is the spice of life. We really like variety. This is just our brown rice, and also from Costco. I have cereal, dried lemons. This is great if you want to zing up a smoothie, or you want to put it in some herbal tea, or just have some lemon water. That works really good. And then back here, I have dried dates. This is what I use in my husband's oat jars that are just stored dry. So the dates are what we use for a sweetener instead of sugar. And then the chickpea flour is awesome to make kind of like a scramble. You can do a chickpea flour scramble or like an omelet. And it's really high protein, high fiber, low fat. So anyway, I've kind of been messing with that. Chickpea flour works really well to do kind of an egg. You can put nutritional yeast in it, and some kala namak, it's like a sulfurous salt, and then a little onion and garlic powder, flavor it up, and then you kind of cook it in a thin layer, make like a big pancake, and then you can saute veggies and put it in it. So that's pretty yummy using the chickpea flour for that. Okay, so this pasta is really awesome. It's just a chickpea pasta. Another one is a lupini bean pasta that I've seen at Costco that is actually more of my favorite. I feel like the flavor is a little bit better, not quite so dense on your stomach, but 20 grams of protein per serving, so it's pretty amazing, and it's a pasta, so just put some red sauce on it, put some green beans or a salad, and you're good to go for a meal. So that's really good for a quick, simple meal that's really nutritious and will keep you full, keep you going for a long time. So that's something. So when you have a pantry of staples, then it makes it easy to make a nice dinner with budget-friendly ingredients, and then for lunch, you get to enjoy the leftovers. This is just an Indian dal that I made with black beluga lentils, and I picked some cilantro from the garden to spice it up, and then use some Indian spices. So you could put it on rice. I had some pita bread available that I just got from shopping. So you can choose, and it just makes a simple lunch. So set up your environment with healthy ingredients, and it makes it a lot easier to enjoy a healthy meal simply Well, you might have noticed that our pantry has a lot of beans and whole grains. That kind of takes up most of the room. And also, we eat a lot of potatoes. And you're probably thinking, well, won't that make me gain weight? Something I noticed while working with clients who have been kind of on different fad diets, they see those things as foods that are going to not help them with their weight journey. And yet, it's interesting because the opposite is true. So the reason being is that whole grains, beans, legumes, and potatoes, things like that. They're going to give you high nutrient density and low calories. They're super tasty. They fill you up. So the fiber in them is amazing. So they really help to boost your GLP-1 actually naturally. So whether you're on a GLP-1 or not, but you're looking to lose weight and just increase your health, these kind of foods are going to help you do that, because what they do is that fiber and the whole cell structure of these foods help to create longer feelings of fullness and regulating your blood sugar. It kind of keeps the fiber helps slow down the digestion process and just helps you to feel full and not hungry as quickly. You feel satisfied when you eat those kind of foods. So beans are really cool because they're high in a lot of different kind of fibers, and they're high in protein. So that's something that you probably already know. If you're taking a GLP-1, then that's something that they say to focus on. Focus on protein, but fiber is just as important, because those things are what's going to help you, especially to avoid constipation, which is one of the most common side effects of taking a GLP-1 because of that slow gastric emptying. So beans and whole grains and also potatoes, that is something that can be satisfying. Those are foods that hopefully you're familiar with. If not, you can learn to eat more of. And just diet and lifestyle behavior changes remain crucial, even if you're on a GLP-1 medication, to achieve a healthy weight and then reduce health risks. So when I work with clients, that's what I help them do. So as you can see, our pantry is not perfect. We have other foods in there that aren't necessarily health foods, but if you make the whole foods an important part of your staples of what you eat every day, then those are really going to help you have a healthy weight and be able to maintain those long-term health goals. And it becomes just your norm of what you gravitate towards. So make them easy and accessible. You can use the pre-cooked grains that are kind of in the package and they're still whole. You could use canned beans. Those are amazing. So any of those kind of things that make it quicker to eat those foods or easier to eat those foods, add them in, and they're awesome. They're not going to spike your blood sugar because of that fiber. So they kind of get, sometimes on the diet fads, those things get looked down upon because they are higher in carbohydrates. But the fact is when you eat them, they actually slow the carbohydrate and fat absorption in your body because of the high fiber content. So hopefully I gave you another look at those foods, and maybe you want to try putting some of them in your diet and see how that goes for you. But I know for us, it's been fun to incorporate them in different cuisines and trying new flavors. So I'll be putting some of those videos of how to use some of those grains and beans in a way that's easy and satisfying for the whole family. So enjoy. All right, maybe Henry's going to be the mascot of our show. We'll see if he likes lentils. Hey, you're going for the bread. You got to try the lentils, Henry. You go. Hello, Henry. Looks like he just likes the lentils. Should go for this. Oh, there we go. You like the black beluga lentil. See, Henry, if you set up your environment with healthy food, it's easier to eat it, right? Oh, yeah. Here you go. You're just going for the bread. At least it's whole wheat pita. Henry's a lot more exciting to watch than me on a video, right? They go for the cilantro. Look. Oh, the birds are messy. All right, Henry. Say goodbye.